The champagne glass slipped from my trembling fingers, shattering against the marble floor of our kitchen as I stared at my phone screen. There she was, my sister Olivia, her back pressed against Tyler, my fiancé of 3 years. Her lips were moving toward his in our own apartment. The sound of crystal exploding seemed to echo from another dimension as I watched Tyler's hands shoot up defensively. "Olivia, stop." I said no. His voice carried clearly through the video call we'd been having while I was away on business in Chicago. My vision tunneled to the phone screen as I hit record. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a caged animal. 3 years of whispered suspicions crystallized into this single devastating moment, broadcast live from 200 miles away. Tyler backed toward our bookshelf, the one we'd built together during our first weekend as official roommates. Olivia pursued him relentlessly, her face twisted into an expression I'd never seen her wear around our parents. "Why her?" she hissed, gesturing wildly. "She's always been the boring one. Just try me once before you make your final decision." The oxygen in my hotel room felt thick as concrete. Tyler's back hit the shelving unit. He was trapped. I could see panic flooding his eyes, the same eyes that had promised me I'd never lose him like I'd lost everyone else who mattered. My name is Vanessa. I'm 31 and a marketing director. This is the story of how I finally shattered my sister's golden pedestal. Back then, watching this betrayal unfold on screen, memories of Olivia's pattern flooded back to me. I'd been watching Olivia take whatever she wanted my entire life. 3 previous boyfriends had fallen for her practiced vulnerability, her strategic tears, her way of making every man feel like the hero in her carefully scripted drama. Each time, my parents dismissed my heartbreak with surgical efficiency. "You should be more like your sister," my mother would say, as if my pain were just another example of my chronic inadequacy. When I met Tyler 5 years ago at a marketing conference in Denver, the connection was immediate and terrifying. I kept him secret for 11 months, manufacturing elaborate excuses for why he couldn't meet my family. I knew exactly what would happen the moment Olivia laid eyes on him. She had a type: successful, attractive men who could elevate her Instagram-ready lifestyle. Tyler checked every box: 6'2", corporate lawyer, weekend triathlete, the kind of smile that made restaurant servers linger at our table. The inevitable introduction came after a year of dating. I watched Olivia's pupils dilate when she saw him, that familiar predatory assessment I'd witnessed since middle school. But something unprecedented happened. Tyler stayed welded to my side, his fingers interlaced with mine, redirecting every one of Olivia's conversation attempts back to include me. For weeks afterward, she bombarded his phone with increasingly desperate messages. Photos of herself in lingerie, invitations to exclusive events I wouldn't enjoy. When she sent a video of herself in our childhood bedroom, wearing nothing but his favorite basketball team's jersey, I confronted her in our mother's pristine kitchen. "If I really wanted him, I'd have him by now," she'd sneered, theatrical tears already pooling in her eyes, like she'd summoned them on command. Right on cue, my mother asked me to leave. She added her familiar refrain: "He's closer to your sister's age anyway, sweetheart." Returning to the present moment in that Chicago hotel room, I realized this confrontation had been inevitable. She'd shown up at our apartment unannounced while I was presenting to clients in the Midwest. Somehow, she'd convinced building security she was there to water my plants while I traveled. Tyler had been video calling to show me how carefully he was tending my collection of bonsai trees when our intercom buzzed. Something cold had twisted in my stomach when I heard her voice through the speaker. "Keep me on the call," I told him, suspicious of the timing. On screen, Olivia lunged forward again. Tyler dodged sideways, his voice rising with desperation. I said, "No, Olivia, stop this." He pushed her away, not violently, just firmly enough to create distance. But she twisted dramatically, throwing herself backward with theatrical precision. The sickening crack of our glass coffee table breaking beneath her weight made me gasp aloud in the empty hotel room. Her screams pierced through our apartment as Tyler rushed to call 911. His face was draining of color. I sat frozen 200 miles away, the recording still running, knowing with crystalline certainty exactly what would happen next. It did. Within 2 hours, Olivia was claiming Tyler had assaulted her. The gash on her thigh, requiring 15 stitches, became evidence of his violent attack. My parents mobilized like a military operation, my father threatening to destroy Tyler's law career, my mother calling to inform me I needed to face the truth about that man. But for the first time in my life, I possessed actual truth instead of just my word against Olivia's tears. The recording showed everything: her advances, Tyler's repeated refusals, her aggressive pursuit, the accident caused entirely by her own dramatics. When I presented the footage to both the police and Tyler's law firm partners, Olivia's narrative collapsed like a house of cards in a hurricane. Over the following 18 months, Tyler's countersuit for assault, harassment, and defamation proceeded through the courts. The settlement Olivia was eventually ordered to pay reached 6 figures, money she didn't have, forcing her to liquidate her designer wardrobe and move back in with our parents. "He doesn't need the money," my mother hissed when she called after the court decision. "You've always been jealous of your sister's beauty, her natural charm. Now you've destroyed her reputation just to get back at her." I stared at my mother's name on my phone screen. Suddenly, I was seeing with perfect clarity the toxic pattern that had defined my entire existence. "No, Mom. You destroyed her by never teaching her boundaries, and you almost destroyed me by training me to believe I deserved whatever scraps she left behind." The silence stretched for 30 seconds before she hung up. 2 years have passed since that final conversation. Olivia moved to Portland, unable to face the Chicago social circles that had witnessed her public disgrace. My parents blame me entirely. Their golden child's reputation lay in ruins, and in their eyes I had committed the ultimate sin of choosing an outsider over blood. Our already strained relationship evaporated completely. Limited contact became no contact. My relationship with Tyler emerged stronger, though his family initially viewed me with cautious suspicion. Their son had nearly lost his career because of my family's dysfunction. It took months for Tyler's parents to see that I was nothing like the chaos I came from. Gradually, they became the family I'd never had. His mother invited me for weekly lunch dates, where we discussed everything from books to business strategies. His sister included me in her group chats, sending daily memes and asking my opinion on everything from dating dilemmas to career moves. His father taught me to sail on their family's boat. He showed me knots and navigation techniques my own father had only ever shared with Olivia. When Tyler proposed last summer on that same boat during sunset, his parents were euphoric. "We're paying for everything," his mother announced immediately. "A proper celebration in Tuscany for the daughter we always hoped we'd have." The words made me cry harder than the proposal itself. I didn't tell my parents about the engagement. My Aunt Sarah and 2 cousins were the only blood relatives I invited to our destination wedding in Italy. It should have been simple: a clean break, a beautiful beginning. But my peaceful wedding planning was about to be disrupted. My grandmother had maintained contact with Aunt Sarah despite our family rift. During one of their conversations, she mentioned my upcoming wedding. Within days, my grandmother had shared my new phone number with my mother, hoping to facilitate a reconciliation. My mother had somehow obtained my new number, the one I'd changed after the lawsuit. The messages began reasonably, suggesting reconciliation and asking about my life. When I didn't respond, they turned venomous. Last week, Aunt Sarah called with a warning. My mother was posting vicious lies about me on Facebook, threatening to boycott any family member who attended the sham wedding of my ungrateful daughter. I stared at our wedding invitation on my desk. Cream-colored paper with gold foil accents, Tuscany's rolling hills illustrated in delicate watercolor. The thought of my mother's bitterness contaminating this perfect celebration made my chest tighten with something dangerously close to pure hatred. My phone buzzed with a text from Tyler's mother. "Just confirming final head count for Friday's welcome dinner. And don't forget, your dress fitting is tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'm bringing champagne." I looked at the framed photo beside my computer. Tyler and me on his family's sailboat, both sunburned and laughing while his father made bunny ears over our heads and his mother pretended to push us overboard. They weren't perfect, but they were genuinely, completely mine. I blocked my mother's number without reading her latest message. Then I called Aunt Sarah. "They're threatening to crash the wedding," she said immediately. "Your father booked flights to Rome." My friend at the travel agency saw the reservation and warned me. Then we'll have security, I replied, surprised by the steel in my own voice. Anyone who couldn't love me when I needed it doesn't get to claim me when I'm happy. 3 weeks later, under a Tuscan sunset that painted everything gold, I walked down an aisle lined with olive trees and fairy lights. Tyler waited at the altar, flanked by his beaming parents, his eyes bright with unshed tears. Aunt Sarah and my 2 cousins sat proudly in the front row, defiant in their support. The seats where my parents might have been remained deliberately empty, not as a symbol of loss, but as a reminder of my choice to prioritize peace over toxicity. Despite their threats and booked flights, they never appeared. Later, I learned from Aunt Sarah that they had canceled their trip at the last minute, perhaps finally understanding that their manipulation no longer held power over me. Tyler's father stood to give his speech. He raised his champagne glass toward me first. "To the daughter who found us when we didn't even know we were searching," he said, his voice cracking with emotion. "Your strength has made our son happier than we've ever seen him, and you've made our family complete." In that moment, watching the Italian sunset paint the vineyard in shades of amber and rose, I understood something profound. Sometimes, the family you're born into teaches you exactly what you don't want. And sometimes, if you're very fortunate, the family you choose shows you everything you truly deserve. As I looked around at faces filled with genuine love and support, I realized that absence could indeed be a gift, especially when what's missing is the weight that once held you underwater. 3 months have passed since our wedding. The silence from my birth family has become permanent. Olivia remains in Portland, working in retail according to Aunt Sarah's occasional updates, while my parents have cut contact with any relative who maintains a relationship with me. Their final attempt to control my happiness failed completely, and I've found peace in the permanence of that failure. Some families are born. The best ones are chosen. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. Zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.